Hi everyone, welcome back to the Java class. So let us continue the journey to learn exception handling in Java programming language. In today's session, you will learn what is a throws keyword and how this keyword can help you to handle and manage exceptions in Java programming language. So let us understand with the help of a scenario, and you will also understand what is the need of throws keyword. For example, there is a method which is capable of causing an exception that it doesn't handle. In that case, it must specify this behavior so that caller of the method can guard themselves against that exception. In this case, you can include a throws clause in the method declaration. So let me just explain you with the help of a programming examples and you will understand in a better way. In this example, we have added a static method execute process and we are just calling inside a main function. So let us run this program and you will see what is the output of it. So here your program is successfully compiled and executed and showing the perfect output. So there is no problem in this program. So when and where there is a need of throws keyword in Java programming language, for example, there is a method execute process and this method is throwing some exception like I will write throw new illegal access exception. So here in this case you can see this method execute process is throwing some exception, that is illegal access exceptions. So if some method is declaring or throwing some exceptions, so it is mandatory to declare by that method using a throws keyword, means this function or this method is throwing an exceptions. So how can you use it? So whenever you will run this program, compiler will just display the error and the error will be the compilation error. Here you can see it is showing unresolved compilation error, illegal access exceptions, and here also you can see unhandled exception type, illegal exception type. So what is this scenario here? Let me just tell you again what is the need of this throws keyword. So what we have done here, you can see suppose a method is capable of causing an exception. So you can see here the method is raising some exceptions that it doesn't handle, but this method is not handling that exception. In that case, it must specify this behavior so that caller of the method can guard themselves against that exceptions. So if this method is throwing some exceptions, so how this calling function, that is main, will be able to understand this function is generating some exception or not, or throwing some exception or not. So this you can do by including a throws clause in the method declaration. So how will you just add or include a throws clause? We will simply write throws illegal access exceptions. So here this is a kind of label with the method, that is, that message is this function is throwing some exception of type illegal access exception. Whenever inside a main function someone will call this execute process, so that function can understand, okay, this function is throwing some exceptions and you have to manage it. This is the use of throws keyword and this is the meaning of throws keyword. Now you can see in this part it is not showing any exceptions, but if you will remove this part, right, let me remove this part. So here the compiler will start complaining and the complaint is unhandled exception type illegal access exceptions. So how can you resolve it? You can add throws declaration or you can solve this problem, right? But this is the case when you are using the checked exception. So here illegal access exception is the checked exceptions, but if you will use something different exception that is not a checked exceptions, that is, that belongs to the runtime exceptions class or its subclasses, or we can say unchecked exceptions. For example, I will write the arithmetic exceptions, right? So here this is unchecked exceptions, this function is throwing, then no need to just show this function is throwing some exception or not. No need to declare using throws keyword. The compiler will not complain, right? Compiler will not complain. So you can manage these exceptions, arithmetic exceptions, inside the main function using a try and catch, right? So let us come back. to the illegal access exceptions. So where there is a need to declare this method is throwing some exceptions of type illegal access exceptions using a throws keyword, right? So here this is the main use of throws keyword, or it is a kind of label with the method execute process to understand or to know this method is throwing some exceptions. Now here you can see the compiler is complaining inside a main function. What is the complaint here? The execute process. So here you can see the unhandled exception type illegal access exceptions. So here now the main function, or we can say the calling function, is understand and get a message. Means this function execute process is throwing some exception of type this one. So now the main is aware about it. So this is the meaning of this line, right? In that case, it must specify the behavior so that caller of the method can guard themselves. So now, right now, the main, that is a calling function, or the caller can guard themselves to protect from the exceptions. So how will you just protect this one? Here the compiler is suggesting two fixes. First is add throws declaration, and second one is surrounded with try and catch. Let me just show you what is the meaning of first one, add throws declaration. If you will click on it, you can see the compiler is not complaining. Here you have added, or you have provided a label. Okay, this function is throwing some exceptions, but your exception will not be handled right now, because here just you are just providing information that the function will throw an exceptions. And here we go, you can see what is the output of this program. It is showing inside a method execute process, and this is the exception which is generated. So let us just undo these changes, and let us go with the second suggestion of the compiler, surround with try and catch. If you will just select this part, so here you can see inside a try function the method execute process is there. Now inside a catch we are handling illegal access exception of type, or inside this you can just display some message. So I am just writing some message inside it, like exception caught, right? Or you can display the object exception object information. So now this is the way to handle and manage exceptions, right? So right click on it and let me run it, and let's see what is the output of it. So here you can see it is showing first inside a method execute process, then this is throwing some exceptions, and here we have provided kind of label with this method. So whenever someone or the calling function will call this function, so the calling function can understand, okay, this function is throwing some exceptions and we have to handle these exceptions using a try and catch. So this exception is handled and it is showing that exception caught. Let me run it again and you can see the updated output. So here you can see the exception caught, and this is the object information which type of exception is, and after that it is showing the inside a main function, main method. So your exception is properly handled and managed, right? So this is the one way to manage the exceptions, right? Let me just show you the second way. For example, let me remove everything. I will remove this throws from here. I will just remove this try and catch from here, and I will just call the function that is execute process. So here this is the previous state of the program. So now how can you solve this exception here or this error? So the one way already I have discussed. The second way itself, inside execute process, you can use a try and catch block. So you can use the try and catch block here. You can enclose these statement inside a try block, or inside the catch you can handle illegal exception type, or you can display some message inside the catch. Let me just show you here, right? Or you can write exception caught, or you can display the object information. Let us Run this program and let's see the output of it, right? So here you can see the output is inside a method execute process, and here it is showing it is means tries throwing some exception, and that can be caught by a catch block. So this is another way, but here we have not used the throws statement and throws label, right? Okay, so this is another way to manage that exceptions, but the good practice is if some code or some method is throwing some exception, right, like that, so you have to just declare using a throws keyword. Okay, that method is just throwing exceptions, so whenever you will come in the calling function, the calling function can manage this type of exceptions, right? Understand? So this is the way how to use the throws keyword and how will you manage the exceptions. You will run it and you will get the output, right? So this is the case, right? This is the case. Now it is showing the exception is handled properly, and this is the complete information which is coming from this method e.print stack trace, right? So if you are using here means the unchecked exceptions, so there is no need to use the throws label, right, that I have explained in the initial part of this video. So I hope you understand the throws keyword and how it can help you to just provide some labeling information to the caller function about the exceptions. So I hope you understand this one. In the next session we will come up with the next interesting exception video. Bye bye for now. Have a great day.